Hi, my name is Jacob. I feel like it's a pretty normal name, but it fits me, so I've never really had an issue with it. I don't think names completely define who someone is, because personality matters way more than a name does. At the same time, I do think names affect first impressions. Sometimes people hear a name and already have assumptions based on people they've met before. If I could pick another name for myself, I'd probably choose Jaden. It's close to my real name, so it would feel familiar, but also a little different. Also, everyone I've met named Jaden has been someone I've liked or gotten along with, so I naturally associate the name with positive things. I think that shows how experiences can shape the way we think about something as simple as a name. The three most important people in my life are my sister, mom, and dad. I picked them because they've always been there for me no matter what. They're the people who have supported me through everything, whether it was school, sports, or just difficult moments in life. I think a lot of who I am comes from growing up around them. The way we communicate with each other has shaped how I talk to people and how I handle situations. For example, my parents have sacrificed a lot for me, and seeing that growing up taught me how important support and responsibility are. My sister is also someone I can joke around with and trust, so she's played a big role in my life too. My two favorite hobbies are exploring new places and gaming. I like exploring because I enjoy experiencing new things and getting out of my usual routine. Even something simple like going somewhere new to eat or seeing a new place can be interesting to me. I think exploring keeps life from feeling repetitive. Gaming is one of my favorite hobbies because it's not just about the game itself. It's also about the people. I've met some really good friends through gaming, including friends from Canada that I talk to almost every day. Without gaming, I probably would have never met them. I think it's interesting because people sometimes see gaming as isolating, but for me, it's actually something really social that helped me build friendships. One big misconception about me is that because I'm quieter, people think I don't care about what's going on or that I'm uninterested. In reality, I'm just observing first. I like to understand what's happening before I say something. I think people sometimes assume that if someone isn't talking a lot, they're disconnected, but that's not always true. For me, being quiet usually means I'm thinking. I tend to process things internally first before jumping into a conversation. Once I'm comfortable or understand the situation better, I usually talk a lot more. What brings me the most joy is making people laugh and seeing people happy. I like knowing I had a positive impact on someone even if it's something small. For example, if someone's having a bad day and I can make them laugh or feel a little better, that actually means a lot to me. I think happiness spreads pretty easily, so small positive interactions matter more than people realize. Even something simple like joking around or helping someone out can completely change the mood. I feel the most confident when I know what I'm talking about. When I understand something well, I don't hesitate as much because I know I can explain it clearly. For me, confidence comes from preparation. If I practice something or spend time learning it, I feel way more comfortable. For example, in classes where I really understand the material, I'm much more willing to participate, answer questions, or explain things to other people. But if I feel unprepared, I definitely become quieter. I think confidence is less about naturally being outgoing and more about knowing you're ready. My biggest pet peeve is when someone is inconsiderate. It shows a lack of awareness for other people and it can make situations way more frustrating than they need to be. When someone only thinks about themselves and ignores how their actions affect other people, it stands out to me. I think being considerate is one of the easiest ways to show respect, even in small situations. Simple things like listening, being on time, or thinking about how someone else feels make a bigger difference than people realize. My three worst habits are putting others before myself too much, using social media more than I should, and procrastinating. The first one sounds positive at first, but sometimes I focus so much on helping other people that I forget about myself and what I need to get done for myself. I'm trying to get better at finding more balance. Another bad habit is using social media more than I should. It's easy to lose track of time without realizing it. And the biggest one is probably procrastination. I tend to wait longer than I should sometimes, even though I know it just creates unnecessary stress later. I've been trying to improve on that because I know life gets a lot easier when things are done earlier. One thing I don't usually tell people is that I overthink a lot. Even if I seem calm on the outside, I'm usually thinking through different possibilities in my head. I think part of the reason I don't talk about it much is because it's not really visible. People usually only see the outside version of someone, not everything they're thinking about internally. Sometimes overthinking can be useful because it helps me think through situations carefully, but other times it can make simple things feel more stressful than they need to be. This cat holding up a thumbs up represents how I feel about conflict. I don't see conflict as something that is automatically bad. I think conflict mostly depends on how people handle it. If people avoid problems completely or react emotionally without listening, conflict usually gets worse. But if people communicate honestly and try to understand each other, conflict can solve problems instead of creating bigger ones. I think disagreements are normal because everyone sees things differently. What matters more is how people respond to those disagreements. One thing that really terrifies me is public speaking. I don't like being put on the spot in front of a group of people. Standing in front of a class knowing everyone is watching me makes me overthink everything I say. I start thinking things like, what if I mess up? Or what if I sound awkward? I think a lot of people also feel this way, but for me, it's definitely one of my biggest fears. That's actually one of the reasons I took this class. I knew communication and public speaking were areas I needed improvement in, and I figured the only real way to get better was to actually practice it. My sister chose this image to describe me because she says this is how I look at her all the time. I thought it was funny, but it also made me realize that other people sometimes see us differently than we see ourselves. I probably wouldn't have picked that image for myself, but hearing her reason gave me a different perspective. I think that says a lot about communication and relationships because people around us notice things about us that might not even realize. The question I would add is what motivates you? I picked this question because motivation explains a lot about how someone acts, what they care about, and what they prioritize. Two people can act completely different because they're motivated by different things. For me, I'm motivated by progress. When I see improvement in something I'm doing, it makes me want to keep going. Whether it's school, gaming, learning something new, or working towards a goal, seeing progress is what keeps me interested. Even small improvements make me feel like the effort is worth it.